Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the season two recap of Journey and Wander. Basically, I get to spend a whole season talking to people, getting to figure out kind of what their life is all about, and I try to sort of sum up their life as a narrative, like a Lord of the Rings style quest. And basically, today I'm going to be recapping this last season, who we had on, and try to summarize their stuff. And, just basically go over with what I learned from everything and just my thoughts on it all. We started off with the two hosts of Triple Threat. Uh, uh, the first episode we had one of them on, and then the second episode the first one was helping me co-host the other one, as the show goes. We started with Allison Voidovich, and she said she likes to just, her goal is to just help people chill out and enjoy shit more, not take things so seriously. She says not as many people enjoy life as much as they should, which I find I really like it when a comedian, because I have pretty much only talked to comedians on here, so I like it when a comedian has a goal that basically can, it spans other things besides comedy. Like, I like it when we figure out what the root of their comedy is. And basically for her, it started with theater. She had a good friend who was really into acting and wanted to be an actress in middle school, and she wanted to drag her to an audition for a high school play that needed like middle school sized children or something, and they she got the part on that and did a lot of acting before she even got to high school, and was a big, and it seemed like theater was a big part of her life. um, but she also had a lot of pressure put on her, just, she said, by just from herself, really, and which is kind of relatable. um, and she basically was just really good grades, um, just always overachieving with things, uh, and but that became kind of a weakness when she went to college and tried to pursue a healthier lifestyle and put too much pressure on herself, and it turned into an eating disorder. And basically, and now she's at a point in her life where she, feels like she's gotten over it and has some momentum in a lot of parts of her life, which to me, I don't know, is kind of is nice, because it kind of helps me take a lot of the unnecessary pressure I put on myself. So it's kind of cool to just see how putting too much pressure on yourself could play out in someone's life. Um, and hopefully, I'll be able to identify when I'm putting that pressure on myself. I guess that's the tricky part. But after that, we moved on to Ken, Ken Hamlet, and basically Allison got in with Ken through Big Laugh Comedy Network, and they were both guests on a show and had good chemistry, and they started hosting Triple Threat together. And she said she's learned a lot about roasting from him, and just getting better at ad libbing in general with that kind of stuff. And so we talked to Ken. Basically, he says he wants to create a better quality of life for people. Which, again, this is something that can be done by through a lot of ways, not just with comedy. But like he said, not only with improving everybody else's quality of life through his comedy, he also wants to do it for his child, by being a good dad, um, which he said was not initially part of his plan. He didn't even know that he wanted to get married, but he seems to be really liking putting energy towards raising a kid. But basically, when it comes to his stand-up, he was at Western Oregon University and saw a professional stand-up come through the campus, and he was talking to him for a while, wanting to try it. And then he, after that, he decided to do some open mics where I found out he was writing 15 minutes every week for this open mic because he thought he had to. And I mean, that's crazy. I don't know that. It's cool. It's inspiring. It makes me think, yeah, maybe I could do 5 a week. That would. So I don't know. It was just really, that was really interesting hearing that. And I mean, he says he doesn't write nearly as much anymore, but it was just I don't know, when you see new comics put in that much of a grind, it's always really you just know something is bound to happen with them. And basically he uh his biggest obstacle in his journey was that he had an opportunity to be on a big Kevin Hart show, and he said he was nervous, and he kind of he said he didn't do horrible, but he didn't get it, and he just wasn't as on, and he decided to never be nervous or underprepared again, which is a pretty, I don't know, I think to not be underprepared is, I mean, something that sounds obvious, but I think a lot of us do it, and oftentimes when we don't even realize. And so it's cool that he got that wake up call. And I mean, I definitely haven't done anything important enough to get that. So hopefully, yeah, I'll be, I don't know, taking that into mind when trying to, I don't know, do to ease the nerves. But and then yeah, and then he's doing well now. Where he's at with his comedy is he's done some big festivals and has done weekends at clubs, and he just has himself established. It seems like a common theme for where people are at now is that they have momentum, which is, I don't know, it's cool because I don't have momentum in any sense of the word. So it's really inspiring, I guess, to see people who have momentum, and hoping that, I will have that someday. It sounds really cool. But his somebody who he's grateful for being in his journey is the Real Hijinks, and so we had him on, and he was cool because he had come through Bend before, and I opened for him in Bend and Redmond, and then I had done a show of his in Portland, so I kind of knew him. I've met him a few times, but like I didn't get to really dig deep, and I learned a lot of cool things about him. His main goal is to get a Netflix special and not die before then. He said he wanted to just, his main goal is to not die before the ending credits, and right before the ending credits, that is when he's got his Netflix special. Um, which I think is definitely noble. He said one of the things that I thought was cool too is he said comedy found him. His sister was like making a video for a class or something and needed a fake commercial. So he made a fake commercial, and then her husband saw it and said he could get him on a show. And so before he had ever even done stand up before, he got to have an actual show on a boat. And that is crazy to me, just because so many other comics I know that have a hard time getting booked at the start of it, and then I don't know, he just got booked before he even started it. It was a good way to get around things. he said his biggest obstacle was just getting booked and paid in general. Um, I mean, and he said he overcame that by hiring his wife as his manager, who said if anybody would care about his money, it would be her. So, good idea. I honestly don't feel like I'm at the point where I can get too pissed if no one pays me yet. So, I'm sure a lot of people know how that feels. But I hope once I get to his point, I have somebody like that in my life who will, uh, you know, uh, care about my well being more than I do. So it's definitely cool hearing that. But after that, we had a couple dropouts, and the last two episodes were just blank canvases. Um, and which is two was the perfect number because that is the exact amount of friends I had moved to Chicago within this last year. Right before all the COVID stuff, my friend Ben Moore, he moved to Chicago for comedy, and he had no idea all this shit was gonna go down. But I mean, he's been liking it. He hasn't. He's obviously not been able to do as much comedy, but I got to ask him my questions and kind of break through him a bit more. I kind of knew a lot of his story. His goal is he wants to make people laugh and live. He wants to live on the road, and I don't know. His was interesting because he's likes being a comedian. He's a really good comedian, but he said he never really liked attention on him. But comedy is an area that he does like having attention on because he's the one in control. Which I mean, I definitely relate to that because I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of attention unless I'm supposed to. Like if I'm just in a store and somebody I know tries to have a conversation with me, it takes me a few seconds to even realize what's happening. So I definitely don't like, I don't know, an unwanted attention or just attention when I'm not expecting it. Um, so when you are in control of it, it does feel nice. Um, but he started comedy basically. He was in New York with his brother and his grandpa, and they passed a comedy club. And his brother just said he should try comedy. And it was a while later, he came to an open mic. I saw him coming in, and it was a night of a comedy open mic competition, and he was one of the people in it, and he won that night, and that so we started off on a good note, and then uh, basically he said uh, his biggest obstacle is himself and just working with mental health and stuff, and he's also one of those guys who when I asked him where he is now, he just feels like he has more momentum, which I don't know, just sounds really, really, yeah, relaxing. I don't know. I could use some momentum in my life. It sounds pretty sweet. But and then my other friend that moved to Chicago this year was is Johnny Alfredo. We just call him Fredo. He moved there for work. I'm not sure what month that was, but he moved there for work recently, and he was another good close friend of the Central Oregon comedy scene, and it was sad seeing him go, but it definitely awesome catching up with him. And I learned a lot about him that I had never known just because I feel like I could have done like 3 episodes with him and still learned a bunch of stuff. There's so many different parts to him. Um, he basically wants to combine. His goal is to combine all his hobbies with how he makes money, which is what I'm doing. But he has way more hobbies than I do, like a lot of them. Uh, he said hobbies have always been a part of his life. Just ever since he was a kid, he was always doing crazy. He always collecting Pokemon cards, yo-yos, doing yo-yo tricks, collecting yo-yos, cup stacking, magic, Rubik's cubes. Like he was, I don't know. He knows it all. Like we did a show where we did stand up at first, and then we did a second talent, and then his talent was he seriously just did some stand up and then pulled out some Rubik's cubes and solved them while doing more stand up. And so he was the only one of us who was getting laughs during his second talent. And I feel like he could put on a whole variety show. But yeah, and him, we saw his nice place. He's another one who just had a momentum that I so desperately crave. He's got a good job. He's crushing it in life right now. It seems like he's in a place that he really likes. And it's cool seeing him, like, I don't know, just picking up new hobbies. He's consistently, I think he just recently learned the ukulele, and it was really cool catching up with him. And basically from him, I think I learned the same thing that I did from Allison, is that I should stop feeling so much pressure, because he's like one of the people that feels the least amount of pressure that I know. At least on the surface, he seems really just, I don't know, he does things because he wants to, not because he feels like he has to, which is a very admirable trait. But I had a fun time with this season. I think I definitely, I got a lot of good perspective on a lot of people that I like sort of knew, but like I don't think I had never met Allison in person, but I kind of knew her for being on her show, like just a tiny bit, but like that she's the person I knew the least going into this. Ken, I had done a show with, I had met in person, but I kind of knew him, I guess, about as much as Allison. Like I said, I had met and talked to the Real Hijinks a few times, and then Ben and Fredo are my good friends. So I didn't, I guess, talk to any complete strangers like I did last season, but I still had a lot of fun. I think it's interesting learning more about people you barely know, or learning way more about people you thought you knew a lot about. So I don't know. I had fun, and I think I'm grateful for the perspective that I got. This has been Journey and Wander season 2. Season 3 is up in the air. We'll see if it happens or when it happens. We're not entirely sure yet. So just keep looking out for it. I'll be making my business page soon on Facebook. I'm trying to get more social media savvy, just to increase my online web presence. So I guess look out for more of that, because I'll have some stuff for you to like and share, which would be great. I'll my Instagram handle is COLE_ROBESON. That is Cole_Robeson. On Facebook at Cole Robeson, on Big Laugh Comedy Network. Thank you guys so much. Hope to see you next season.